the Prophecy Club. I think this is going to be one of the most important broadcasts I have put out in the 20 years that I've been doing the Prophecy Club. In 1998, I received a VHS tape of a lady telling her testimony that she was abducted, and she said she was taken into another room where she met a man 6'5" with blonde hair, blue eyes. She said he was the most beautiful man she had ever seen. He told her that he and others were working together with the nations of the earth to form a world government. That got my attention. The rest of it might be foolishness, but that lined it up with Bible prophecy. In the conversation, he also told her that a large meteor would hit the earth near the Virgin Islands and cause great destruction. Now, hang on, there's more coming, which I don't believe this is wormwood, by the way, but maybe I'm wrong. Then, May 25th, 1997, Virginia Boldea received a dream. She says, I was laying in my bed listening to a prophecy I'd received. Suddenly, I began to see through my eyes, even though my eyelids were shut. A cloud suddenly appeared in the garden, and it appeared to be very close to the ground. A man dressed in white stood on the cloud. He was slightly taller than a normal man, and in his hand he had a trumpet in which he began to blow. The sounds that came out of his trumpet would turn into letters, which would then turn into words in the sky, then ignite, burning up the heavens. I didn't understand the writing because it was in an unknown tongue. I did, however, recognize that it was Hebrew. Then there were a handful of comets in the sky, which looks to be peaceful. Suddenly, 3 of them, all different sizes, began to head toward the earth. When they hit the ground, there was total devastation. Let me say it again. When they hit the ground, there was total devastation. As I looked up, the sky turned black and I saw thunder. The thunder was also black. A dark cloud lifted up and it began to rain. When I looked closer, I saw it was not rain, but drops of blood. As I looked to my left, I saw another man, that's an angel talking to her, standing on the cloud. He was very tall, dressed in white, with his hands raised high. Each time he moved his hands, fireballs would come out of his fingers. I looked, awestruck, at the man's height and the way his face shone and radiated. Then a powerful voice said, "Remember what I have shown you. This will be the beginning of the pain that I will allow upon the earth." He repeated this phrase again. "This will be the beginning of the pain that I will allow upon the earth. You prepare yourself. Be strong and draw close to me with fasting and prayer." Then everything disappeared. Now, Comet Ison looks like 3 lights in one. So could Ison be the 3 comets? Could it be the warning that has been given to us that something very bad is about to hit the earth? April 15, 2002, Prophet Leslie Johnson was given a dream, and she was shown that Arafat would die in the hospital, and of course at the time he wasn't allowed outside of his compound. So to put that on radio, send it to all of our best supporters, was a big risk. Yet, 2 years later, 11/11/04 at 3:30 a.m., just as she was told, he would die in the hospital. But the rest of the dream had 6 more points to it. Also, she was shown that Israel will give the Palestinians a state. The Palestinian state would be a temporary measure to allow the Israelis time to strengthen the military. Then oil would be discovered in Israel, and the oil will make the Jews willing to fight for their land. Then Israel and America will go against most of the rest of the Arab world. Leslie had the following dream, which filled in most of the rest of the needed information. Then Israel and America would go against most of the rest of the Arab world. Then, January 22, 2006, God spoke audibly to her. These are newspaper headlines that we believe are the newspaper headlines leading to the fall of America. This is not the order in which they were given, but I believe this is probably the order in which they'll happen. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Catastrophe hits America. Israel refuses help to America. Israel is attacked. America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting the angel that spoke to Dmitry Duduman. The fall of America would start with an internal revolution started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in 1 day and 1 hour. Such great riches will come to naught. Now, Leslie was not told what the catastrophe will be. However, she was shown that there's going to be a 200-foot high tsunami hit one of the coastlines. Apostle Augusto Perez was shown that it will be the east coast of the United States, and it will go inland for up to 20 or 25 miles. And so that we know that America will force Israel to give the Palestinians a state. Then Shane Warren comes along, and he said he heard the audible voice of God say, "You split my land," talking to America, "now I will split yours." In other words, America will force Israel to give the Palestinians a state. We will force Israel to split their nation. And when we do, God splits America. February 3rd, 2006, Michael Boldea and his younger brother Serge and another proven prophet in Romania were all three given the same dream the same night that an earthquake will hit California. The earthquake, they said, would be the largest of this generation, would cause the Golden Gate Bridge to fall, large chunks of California would fall into the ocean, it'll affect 10 states, and it will cause the lines on the maps to have to be redrawn. Then last week, someone sent me a link to Prophet Efrain Rodriguez of Puerto Rico. Now, this guy does not speak English, but I've seen him give the talk, and then I've read the English subtitles to it, and he has agreed to come and speak at the Prophecy Club. We don't have a date yet, but we're talking about possibly even as early as February, so stay tuned. Now, listen to this. This Prophet Efrain Rodriguez says he was shown a vision of a meteor striking Mona Island, which is just west of Puerto Rico, which is just west of the Virgin Islands, sending a massive tsunami up the east coast of the United States and all across the Gulf of Mexico. He told NASA about it. They used the world's largest radio telescope on the island of Puerto Rico to search for it. They looked for it in the area, the direction he said he saw this meteor come from, and they found it. They showed him a picture of what the rock looked like, and he said, yes, that's the same rock I saw in my vision. And he says that NASA is throwing all of their time, money, and personnel into preparing for this asteroid strike to hit the Earth. So much so, that is the reason the USA has stopped all further space explorations and concentrating all of their preparations for this Puerto Rico meteor strike. Then, yesterday, somebody sent me another link to some Indians. Now, I don't think that you and I normally think Indians, and I'm talking about the ones from India, like, Mumbai. Okay, I'm not talking about those American Indians. I'm talking about the Indians from India, okay? We don't normally think of these people as being Christians. However, I'll tell you a couple of things that tell me that they are. They organize meetings, prayer meetings, big ones in churches. They go prayer walking over the land. They sing Christian songs, and they love the Lord in America. They love worshiping and praising God. They organize 3-day revivals from 40 to 50,000 Indians attending to pray, fast, and worship, and the list goes on and on and on. Trust me, they're real Christians, okay? Now, one of them was shown a vision that this angel came to him, showed him that the United States would turn against Israel and force Israel to split Jerusalem. Now, that's giving the Palestinians a state. That's splitting Israel. Then he saw a map of the United States, and he said, I saw an angel with a long sword stab the center of the map, saying, you split my land, now I will split yours. That's what he saw. And he said he saw the United States split right up from the Gulf all the way up the center of the country. That's the second person that has heard the same words, okay? Now, here's the question. What if the meteor causes both the tsunami, the splitting of America, and the Golden Gate Bridge to fall, and causes the headline, Catastrophe Hits America, all in the same event? He was shown a second vision in which he was taken to heaven before the first Obama election, and he was shown Obama would win the election, and he did, and that Obama is a traitor to America, and he secretly plans to work to destroy America and Israel. Well, no big surprise for us. He says, one day I was praying and my soul was taken to heaven, where I was taken into a board meeting around a large round table. And I saw Abraham and Moses sitting at the table, and they asked me to be seated. They were holding some papers that said USA across the top of it, and said, Mr. Obama will win the election. I asked, how is it possible? Because the Christians are praying for a Christian president. He says, and when he wins and comes to power, the financial economy of the country will greatly collapse. Many people will think he will create more jobs, but those things will be toppled upside down. At the same time, people would realize that the leader whom they elected is not a true and honest leader. Sure enough, Obama won the election, and sure enough, the economy has fallen, and sure enough, a lot of us realize he's not a true and honest leader. Now, I say all of that to lead up to this. He says, about 5 years ago, a prophecy came forth in a meeting, one of these Indian meetings in America, that a great downfall will come to the American economy, and people would strive hard for even one square meal a day. People would be pushed into poverty, and here it is, listen to this, the financial system would be changed. What I talked in the last broadcast, talked about a global currency reset. It's right around the corner. And they also say that if one wants to deceive Israel, he can help those who are against Israel. And that's what Obama is doing. Then Prophet Leslie was shown that the Great Lakes will open up from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Great Lakes. And she also saw that 20-story tsunami hitting U.S. coastline. So keep that all in remember, because that would fulfill the newspaper headlines where she was told catastrophe hits America. It also ties together with another headline, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. And in this vision, this Indian said that he saw the United States open up, and I'm looking at the map here and try to describe where it is. It looks like it comes straight up through probably, I would say, about San Antonio, and then swings over to about Amarillo, Lubbock, up through there, then heads on over and includes all of Kansas and 3/4 of Nebraska, about half of South Dakota, and a little bitty part of North Dakota. Then going down the opposite side, it starts way over. We'll be right back after this message. I've heard the testimonies of over 35 different people that have died and gone to heaven, but I think Dean Braxton's testimony is the best, simply because he spent the most time there. He spent 1 hour and 45 minutes in heaven. He tells you what Jesus and the Father and the throne looks like, and our new Jerusalem and our mansions, whether it's a pyramid or it's a square. Everything is based on love and is alive. How we communicate, whether we talk or just by thoughts, how we move, do we walk or do we fly, our relationships with our families and others, and our glorified bodies and garments and what they look like. Normally valued at $30, but you can call a Prophecy Club and get it right now for just a gift of $15 or more. That's 785-266-1112. I spent 45 minutes in heaven by Dean Braxton. 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. Brothers and sisters, I have been doing the Prophecy Club for over 20 years. We've had about 150 speakers make about 300 different titles, all dealing with Bible prophecy. But may I say, I think that these 2 DVDs may be some of the most important DVDs to get if you want to understand what may be coming in the near future. The first one is talking about how America is the final Babylon. The second one is talking about timelines, how soon the tribulation may start, and they claim that the tribulation will start in 2018 and be all over by 2025. They have lots and lots of research to be able to say that. Get both of these DVDs, valued at $30 each, but now you can get both of them for a gift of just $30 to the Prophecy Club, 785-266-1112, or online at prophecyclub.com. End Time Babylon and Prophetic Timelines. And now, back to the program. And 3/4 of Nebraska, about half of South Dakota, and a little bitty part of North Dakota. Then going down the opposite side, it starts way over where Florida, in the panhandle of Florida, and it comes up through Alabama, cuts off a little bit of Tennessee there, on up, right, splitting Illinois in two, and then just the western half of Wisconsin. And he says all of this was all water. So that would mean basically from Lubbock to Mobile, Alabama would all be water. That's what he saw in his vision when he was with the same one that was with Moses and Abraham. Now, let me summarize what we're talking about. During an alien abduction, the alien told a woman that a meteor would land near the Virgin Islands and cause great destruction. Again, I wouldn't even listen to such foolishness, but when they said that, along with the governments of the world are working to form a world government, then that had my attention because obviously they knew something that only is told in the Bible. So that's pretty important. Then, of course, Virginia Boldea was shown that just before the trouble, upon the earth, 3 comets would appear. Is that comet Ison? Then Prophet Leslie was told that one of the headlines of the fall of America would be Catastrophe hits America. Could it be that this meteor hits down by Puerto Rico, sending a massive tsunami up the Gulf and up the eastern coastline and splitting America all the way up to the Great Lakes and causing large chunks of California to fall into the ocean and the Golden Gate Bridge to fall? Could that all take place? All because of a meteor? Pastor Shane Warren heard God say in an audible voice, "You parted my land, now I will part yours." And he was shown a great earthquake hit America in the New Madrid fault area. And I specifically asked him, I said, "Did you see the Great Lakes split all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico?" And he says, "No, I didn't see that." Okay, so maybe it's a different event, but maybe it's all the same too. So let's kind of summarize those particular headlines because I believe this is what we can see coming for America. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. So try to imagine this. Obama, and by the way, this may even be happening in 2014 or 2015. We just had Doug Krieger come in. He spent 2.5 hours showing us all of his timelines, and he is absolutely positively convinced that 2018 is when the tribulation starts and Jesus returns in 2025. Now, I don't believe that. I don't agree with that. I think it's further down the road. But he had a lot of very interesting points, and that's the reason I'd recommend you get that DVD and watch it several times. Now, could it be that in 2014, these blood moons coming up in April, or in 2015, the blood moons coming up then, could it be that that is when this large meteor is going to hit the earth? Okay, so the first headline, Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Okay, so we can see America forces Israel to give the Palestinians a state. Second headline, Catastrophe hits America. Okay, just like we forced Israelis to leave their home, and then the very next day, we were hit with 9/11. And then the day before Katrina, we forced some other Israelis to leave their homes, and the very next day, we're hit with Katrina. Same thing with the Deepwater Horizon when they had the oil wells squirting oil at 20,000 psi out in the Gulf the day before we came against Israel. In other words, every time America's had a major catastrophe, the day before, we went against Israel. So it makes perfect sense to me that the day after we go against Israel, the day after that America forces Israel to give the Palestinians a state, that may very well be. Now, I can't say this for sure. I'm just trying to put things together. I'm just a watchman. I see a sword coming. Ezekiel 33:6 says, when the watchman sees the sword come, he is to blow the trumpet. And if he does blow the trumpet and the people be not warned and they're taken, then the blood is on the head of the watchman. Okay? It doesn't say that the watchman has guaranteed the sword comes. Okay? I am a watchman. I see a problem, and I'm telling you about a problem. Now, I'm not guaranteeing you that it's going to come, but I see a problem, and I'm blowing the trumpet. Okay. Omer ushers in Palestinian state. Catastrophe hits America. Okay. So can you see that America forces Israel to give the Palestinians a state? The very next day, the meteor hits down by Puerto Rico, which is out by the Virgin Islands, just like the lady was shown. And then the next headline would be one of America's greatest times of need. Well, I imagine so. If the Great Lakes emptied down into the Gulf and there was a great tsunami hit all up and down the Gulf Coast and the East Coast and great chunks of California fell into the ocean, the Golden Gate Bridge fell. Yes, I imagine it would have put America on our knees. You see, this is all part of this nation's fall. Then Israel is attacked. Why? Well, because all of the Arab nations say, hey, America's not as strong. America's all in this catastrophe. This is the time to attack. So then Israel is attacked and America sends troops. However, the next headline is chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. In other words, a lot of the Americans because they don't know the Bible, they don't know that God says, I will bless them that bless you, and I will curse them that curse you, talking about the Israelis, okay? And they don't know that. And so to them, in their secular point of view, they say, well, look, we were down, we were really hurting, and Israel wouldn't come and help us. Now they're getting attacked, so why should we help them? Okay, it's just a very childish attitude. But nevertheless, that's their attitude. Then she heard my voice, quoting the angel that spoke to Dimitri, that Fall of America starts with an internal revolution. So, could it be this Prophet Leslie being shown this vision that a 200-foot high tsunami hitting one of the U.S. coasts, and Augusto Perez said he saw it hit the East Coast and go inland for 20 to 25 miles? Could it be that it's also the same event that Michael Boldea was shown about the Golden Gate Bridge falling? Could it be when Prophet Efrain Rodriguez says he was shown a vision of a meteor hitting the Mona Island west of Puerto Rico, which is west of the Virgin Islands? Could it be that it's all the same event? In other words, meteor hits, tsunami hits, U.S. splits, California falls into the ocean, and that is the catastrophe. And then the headline reads, one of America's greatest times of need. Then the headline reads, Israel has attacked, America sends troops. Then we get all upset. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then the Russians attack. And they attack with nuclear weapons landing all up and down the east and west coast because they see America in disarray. They see America in turmoil. They see America on her knees. She is in the worst time in the entire history of a nation. There could not be a better time to attack than when she has just been hit very close by with a meteor. Could it be that the blood moons of 2014 or 2015 is the meteor hitting the earth? That's my broadcast. That's my point. Now, I don't want to believe that. I want to think that we got more time. Why do I say that? Because Daniel 2 very clearly says, talking about the statue, the whole point of Daniel 2 and the statue is to tell you that Jesus can't come back, will not come back, until there's a world government that has 10 toes. In other words, until they've formed a world government that they have divided into 10 global regions. Can't happen. Second point, Daniel chapter 7. The 4 beasts. The first one is the English lion. Coming out of that is the American eagle's wings. Then the second one is the Russian bear. The third one is the Islamic leopard. And the fourth one, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, that had great iron teeth, and it stamped the residue and break in pieces all of the former beasts. That fourth beast is the world government. That says you can't have Jesus returning until you have the fourth government. And you can't have the fourth government until you have the third beast rise. And the third beast is Islam. As I've explained before, it's 5 nations, because in Daniel chapter 7, verse 6, it says that the leopard had 4 heads and 4 wings of a fowl on it. Those 4 heads are Libya, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Iran. As I've explained, Iraq, Iran is counted as one nation because in Daniel chapter 2, the arms of silver is counted as one nation. So that's 4 nations that will speak the same language, have the same God, and work together to go against Israel. So you can't have Jesus return until you have a world government. We don't have a world government, so Jesus is not coming. So this is not the tribulation. This is not the end of the world. I know some people are saying that. Matter of fact, there's a prophecy teacher. I saw him on TV just the other day. Bless his heart. God love him. Actually, I like the guy. He's a nice guy, okay, but he's just wrong. That's the reason I wouldn't let him speak in 1999 when he sent his book of materials to me, and I still wouldn't let him on the Prophecy Club today. I don't care how big a radio and TV program he gets. He's wrong. Okay? Jesus is not going to come this year. He's not. By the way, we're not in the same. Okay. Enough of that. I'm not going to say anything else about this, brother. But he misunderstands. He's got some secular reasoning. You got to stick to the scriptures, brothers and sisters. You got to stick to the scriptures or you get all messed up. So here's the question. Could it be that we are, and by the way, it's not the tribulation, okay? This is not the end. That's a scary thing to think that this is all probably a part of America's fall, okay? So try to imagine meteor hits. Tsunami goes up the Gulf Coast and mostly the East Coast, splits America in 2. California, large chunks fall in the ocean. America's on her knees. Then, and the headline is Catastrophe Hits America. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Then the next day, the next headline is one of America's greatest times of need. And of course, with that hitting this nation, it would be our greatest time of need. Then, of course, the Arabs see their opportunity. They attack Israel. America sends troops to back them up. And then the headline, Chaos Reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then Russia attacks, all up and down the east and west coast with nuclear weapons. So, brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have sins on your heart, if you're not living for Jesus, you may be running out of time, because I can tell you right now, once you see the meteor, once you find yourself in trouble, Jesus will not hear your prayers for protection. Now, he'll still hear your prayers for salvation, but you won't get his supernatural protection. The angel has already said, if they want God's protection in the time of trouble, they must stop sinning now. You've got to stop sinning now and repent and turn to Jesus with your whole heart so he can save you in the day of trouble. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your gifts of support. God bless.
Prayerfully consider joining the fight for souls by giving your financial support. We thank you and appreciate your faithfulness.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. I've heard the testimonies of over 35 different people that have died and gone to heaven. But I think Dean Braxton's testimony is the best, simply because he spent the most time there. He spent 1 hour and 45 minutes in heaven. He tells you what Jesus and the Father and the throne looks like, and our new Jerusalem and our mansions, whether it's a pyramid or it's a square. Everything is based on love and is alive. How we communicate, whether we talk or just by thoughts, how we move, do we walk or do we fly, our relationships with our families and others, and our glorified bodies and garments and what they look like. Normally valued at $30, but you can call a Prophecy Club and get it right now for just a gift of $15 or more. That's 785-266-1112. I spent 45 minutes in heaven by Dean Braxton. 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. As prophecy students, we know an emergency is heading our way. And the average person can go over 30 days without food, but no more than 3 days without clean water. In the event of an emergency, you must have clean water almost immediately. One of the primary causes of death in emergencies is not lack of food, but rather drinking contaminated water. You can run water from a mud puddle through a Berkey and drink it. You can have clean water when others are getting sick from drinking bug-infested water. Your filter must work without pressurized water or electricity, which is why the missionaries choose Berkey. You can get a Go Berkey for $139, but I recommend you get the Royal Berkey with 4 filters for $364. I personally use the Crown with 8 filters for all my daily water needs. A Royal Berkey looks like a large stainless steel coffee pot, 9 inches wide by 20 inches tall, with 4 black filters. It processes over a gallon an hour for a gift of $364. Call 785-266-1112. Ask for the Royal Berkey, 785-266-1112, or the Crown Berkey with 8 filters. Or see the entire line of Berkeys by going to prophecyclub.com. We've had about 150 speakers make about 300 different titles, all dealing with Bible prophecy. But may I say, I think that these 2 DVDs may be some of the most important DVDs to get if you want to understand what may be coming in the near future. The first one is talking about how America is the final Babylon. The second one is talking about timelines, how soon the tribulation may start, and they claim that the tribulation will start in 2018 and be all over by 2025. They have lots and lots of research to be able to say that. Get both of these DVDs, valued at $30 each, but now you can get both of them for a gift of just $30 to the Prophecy Club, 785-266-1112, or online at prophecyclub.com. End Time Babylon and Prophetic Timelines. There are 30 scriptures in the Bible which say in the last days massive amounts of oil will be discovered in Israel, and we believe we've been given the directive to use this prophesied oil and gas to fund worldwide soul winning. If you have questions about our vision, call 877-OIL-ISRAEL or 877-645-4772.